The SIU has confirmed that some politicians are indeed implicated in the private intelligence report that was commissioned by former Eskom Group CEO Andre de Ruyter.
With so much happening in the country, Eskom never fails to be trending every 2 weeks at least for some ridiculous load-shedding stage. Now the ANC's self-made problem has been part of our lives for so long that some young South Africans don't even know South Africa without load-shedding. Now the consequences of corruption on such a scale was that Eskom's debt, which at first was 40 billion rands in 2007, the year that Jacob Zuma took over power, it ballooned up to 483 billion by 2020. It's been known for years that cartels linked to government officials have been making money through Eskom's corrupt procurement process. Now on this video, we'll be looking at how these Eskom cartels actually operate. Now, intelligence reports obtained by the Daily Maverick links 2 senior members of President Cyril Ramaphosa's cabinet to 4 criminal cartels operating inside Eskom. Now, the intelligence links the cartels to the sabotage of Eskom's power stations and to a program of political destabilization.
The Electricity Minister, Dr. Ramaphosa, says organized crime with links to the infamous KwaZulu-Natal construction mafia has infiltrated Eskom's procurement division. He claims insiders and outsiders are working together to defraud the company. Now, the minister further says that people who breathe life into these cartels are inside the power utility.
Now at the top of the food chain, it's the so-called territorial ruler or the main shot caller and his primary enforcers, who are identified by name as the henchman and assassin. Now the 4 cartels involved are the Presidential Cartel, the Mesh Kings Cartel, the Legendaries Cartel and the Chief Cartel. Now, Eskom's former boss Andre de Ruyter, in his book, he reveals that the Presidential Cartel operates mainly in Matla Power Station, and then the Mesh Kings is at Duva Power Station, the Legendaries Cartel is at Tutuga Power Station, and the Chief Cartel swindles Majuba Power Station. What we need to keep in mind is the fact that most of our power stations are situated in Mpumalanga, because Mpumalanga, I think, has got the most power stations. I think it could be 12 out of 15 of coal power stations are found in that province. So most of these cartels are actually based in Mpumalanga.
What did Minister Gordhan do with this information that had been reported to him? Did he take it to cabinet, for example? Did he take it directly to the president, perhaps?
I have absolutely no idea. I can also confirm that the information was not only shared with Gordhan, but that it was also shared with senior officials involved from the police side and from the State Security Agency. They were all kept in the loop, and the information was shared.
Now these cartels have created a playbook of a procurement process of how to defraud Eskom. You see, the cartel leader or one of his subordinates would approach a specific end user, for instance an engineer, in the generation or distribution division of Eskom to begin the process. Now the end user or the engineer is in cahoots with the cartels. He or she receives a substantial amount in cash, including extra funds to bribe other employees in the supply chain to ensure their cooperation. After that is the payment of an upfront bribe to the store manager of a power station. You see, the store manager then verifies how much of a specific type of equipment is available on inventory to be covered in a purchase order. Now, should the equipment to the value of the intended purchase order be available in stock, then the existing equipment in stock will be hidden or displayed somewhere in the power station to justify the procurement or the purchase request for additional equipment.
There are numerous cartels within Eskom with the help of the employees, and this definitely doesn't shock us.
You've done work looking at, some of the claims of corruption at Eskom, and when one reads your report, what is, uncovered there is quite startling. But is it the first time that you hear of the alleged involvement of the construction mafia?
Yeah, first of all, I think we need to break it down as to what is the modus operandi and why is it alleged that they're saying a construction mafia. Now, what happened in Eskom, most of the so-called buyers, which are the employees, and then there are contractors, which are the outsiders providing certain parts or delivering coal or maybe perhaps oil or any other components whatsoever. Now, what happened is you get a purchase order. Once you are on the database, meaning you've got a vendor number of Eskom, you get a purchase order from the buyer to say, can you please supply a particular component or whatever, what have you. Now, sometimes most of these so-called contractors, they do not have money. Now, they opt to go and lobby some funds from other business guys and even illegal business forums for that matter. And then you end up finding them that they will be sharing the profit at the end of the day. And then once they are seen communicating with those particular syndicates or construction mafia, then one can easily come to a conclusion to say they are linked with the underworld or even with the construction mafia. But at the end of the day, that's why we always say procurement issues, the corruption, follow the money. You follow the money.
For the cartels to create a supplementary business to supply essential components or renew or continue maintenance contract works, the cartel will plot the destruction of infrastructure with insiders so that a breakdown can justify repairs or the supply of components via the cartel vendors. We've seen this happen before in situations where malicious damage to conveyor belts has been done and the sabotage of the railway line feeding the Majuba power station.
Help me understand, though, why an executive of Eskom would be doing this. The only thing I can imagine is that it's a case of this executive then appointing engineers of their choice when units go down, and the profit from the money needed to fix that ends up in the pocket of the executive. Am I on the right track here?
They break deliberately some of these components, these particular engineers, but once they do that, now those parts, they need to be procured. Now, that's where you get now the influence and the likes of procurement and some of the executive interfering in those particular processes. So in essence, they break and then they create a particular job for themselves and then they get the money on the other side. So it has always been the case in Eskom and racketeering and sabotage there.
Finally, the end user or the engineer would approach the procurement manager or an employee referred to as umpati who's colluding with the cartel. You see, this umpati or the procurement manager is noted that he has become an influential contact at the power station. Now, as the man in charge of procurement, he receives money upfront that serves as an acceleration fee to issue a purchase request. And here, according to intelligence, this is where the illicit procurement process gets set in motion. The soldiers or the vendors, they manipulate the quotations so that a specific pre-chosen company is appointed as the final vendor and the purchase order is issued accordingly. Now, in addition, the buyers often will create a false sense of agency by sending an official email to a vendor so that they could speed up the process, which will then be used to justify a higher price. Bribed security officers sign off on a non-existent product delivery. You see, the security staff at Eskom are in the pockets of the cartels as well. They sign for ghost deliveries and verify that equipment had been inspected at the main gate. The end user or the engineer and the store manager will receive the ghost delivery and sign the receipt to deliver the non-existing equipment. Now, the hidden equipment is retrieved from where it was hidden and placed back into the storage as if the equipment had been delivered. Now, besides the cartels, there's another dangerous crew that's linked to this whole operation, Timshisha. Now, Timshisha is above the four cartels and it's a feared hit squad comprising of roughly 60 to 70 members. Now, the leader was identified by name as the same guy who's the territorial ruler or the main shot caller. And all these guys from Timshisha, they report to him.
Eskom employee Dorothy Mushi is reportedly living in fear after an alleged hitman told her that he'd been offered 400,000 rand to kill her. The whistleblower has told the city press that a senior executive at the utility is out for blood after she reported cartel operations to police. Mushi joins us tonight to talk more about the situation. A very good evening to you, ma'am. Grateful for your time. For the benefit of those who may have not seen the piece in the city press today, can you detail what has been unfolding in your life in recent weeks?
Good evening to the viewers. Good evening, Tembegile. What has unfolded in the past couple of weeks is quite traumatic. I've been contacted by a hitman who has told me that he has been looking at me and that he's been paid to assassinate me by certain individuals. And the sad part about this is that he mentions that my boss is involved in the contract to have me assassinated. It's sad because this is to do with my work. I'm now being threatened for doing the work that I've been employed to do by Eskom and by protecting the public interest, by fighting fraud and corruption at Eskom.
Now, the territorial ruler or the main shot caller's very close confidant is an SAPS brigadier who undermines or frustrates any investigation into the crew. Now, whenever money is transported, Brigadier is informed and he ensures that the vehicle transporting the money is not stopped at any roadblock if there's any. Now, if the vehicle is stopped, a phone call will be made to the brigadier and he will take care of it.
Retired Brigadier Jaap Burger's appearance before Parliament's Public Finances Watchdog, Scopa, follows allegations made by former Eskom CEO Andre de Ruyter about the involvement of senior politicians in crime and corruption at the state-owned entity. De Ruyter pointed Burger out as the SAPS official who he had handed all the information around the allegations to. Burger had been tasked with the investigation into criminal activity at Eskom. He, however, questioned Scopa's authority to ask questions about matters involving criminal investigations, saying this matter should rather be dealt with by the police or justice portfolio committees.
Now, on top of these cartels, there's also another crew doing a different scam defrauding Eskom by selling stolen electricity. The ghost vending operation was allegedly initiated in 2012 by Muteli Ben Teletsane, who allegedly illegally generated electricity vouchers which he sold to the public for personal profit. Now, Teletsane was employed at Eskom on a contract basis and worked in a prepaid environment for supporting Eskom's prepaid vending systems. He operated as a supervisor and therefore obtained intimate knowledge of the operations of machines. He also acquired technical expertise on the ins and outs of the credit dispensing units. During his employment, he also acquired unknowingly to Eskom a master vending unit that can generate limitless prepaid electricity vouchers and a few credit dispensing units which he concealed after his exit from Eskom. This guy literally had a money printing machine. Now, after Muteli Ben Teletsane's death in 2017, the operation was allegedly taken over by his widow, Thandi Teletsane, and their sons, so it became a family business. Now, according to the National Prosecuting Authority, the Teletsane family operation became so lucrative that it was expanded throughout all 9 provinces, and the well-organized syndicate is believed to have been making around 150,000 to 250,000 per day from the illegal sales of electricity. Now, the Teletsane family was busted, but some of their associates or people that they were working with, they not arrested and they still out there with these machines, multiple of these machines, and they printing money every day.
Now, you may have heard rumors in certain communities of residents purchasing electricity from Eskom workers at below the going rate. Well, it turns out it's true. It actually happens. It's been revealed electricity thieves working for Eskom and City Power have been illegally selling electricity tokens to the public, and their business is booming. In 2021, Eskom reported a syndicate was operating across the country, selling prepaid electricity using ghost machines and costing the utility millions in revenue. Let's speak to forensics expert Calvin Rafadi over the extent of this problem and what it's actually costing Eskom. Calvin, good morning and thank you very much for your time.
Morning, and thanks for the invite.
You know, we've spoken ever so often about the factors that have brought Eskom to this point where it's at. But very little has been said about this phenomena. We find out that it's something that is well known, that people are actually paying at least 50% for electricity in certain quarters. Talk to us about these ghost machines and how this works, where people are getting these electricity vouchers.
Yeah, you know, first of all, Eskom is very embarrassed to speak about this particular issue because there are awarenesses that they make on their social media, their portal, Twitter, and some of the newspapers. They do cover issues that there is illegal selling of electricity. But normally how it's done, they ignore to speak about it because it's a historical issue whereby this so-called CDU machines, credit dispenser unit, known as ghost vending machines, they used to be legal and operating for Eskom, so they recall them during the time when they introduced the internet, you know, because those particular machines, they work on a DOS program, Windows 7. So upon recalling these particular machines, they were stored at one area, one of the Eskom storage in Polokong, in the Ferenahe. So most of those machines, they were stolen, but they were stolen by some of the officials, managerial officials from customer care and even other managers in the storage. Solely because now, immediately after they introduced the online, they now took out a tender for the online vending of selling and purchasing of electricity. So these particular machines, because they work offline, they now are back in the market, and all they have to do with the customer care, some of the senior managers, they just update the tariffs on this particular machine that the machine can function. So the business is booming, and I always say they're running a parallel Eskom through these particular machines.
Hey guys, it's crazy, man. But tell me, with so much happening at Eskom, do you guys have hope that in our lifetime we'll have consistent electricity in the country? Do you guys think that the same government that got us into this mess would be able to get us out of this? You know, if not, what should we do? Yeah, let me know, man. Let me know in the comments, man. I'd like to hear from you. Otherwise, that's all I got, man, on this episode. And if you enjoyed the video, please give us a like. Don't be stingy, man. It's only free. And if you enjoy the content that we do on this page, you can subscribe. Yeah, otherwise, man, thanks for watching and peace to everybody.